What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of Baseball Talk on Rojas Media. Part 2 of the Phillies Free Agency. In Part 1, we talked about why the Phillies need to stop signing or trying to go for big names. It obviously isn't working. They're a mediocre baseball team. They've been this way since 2018. If they keep this same formula, it's not working. It's like Jerry Jones and the Cowboys for the last 20 plus years. They've tried and tried and tried, and they can't get past the first round of the playoffs. And it's going to happen again this year. Hate to break it to Dallas fans. Anyway, so basically, the Phillies, look, like I said, in Part 1, we talked about why they should stop trying to go for the big names. Look, the shortstop class this year loaded. Seager, Story, Baez, Correa. I guess, you could throw in there. No. We're not going to give all our money away. Milton's not going to spend all his money on one player. If you're a GM, you have to construct your roster. It has to be well-rounded. If you're Dave Dombrowski, Sam Fuld, it's got to be a well-constructed roster. And the Phillies have not done that over the last 3 to 4 years. So let's look at some names. I feel like instead of throwing big money at 1-2 names for us to be maybe an 82, 83, 84 win team, not be better than the Braves. Like I said, 1 step back, 2 step forward. That's how I'm looking at this season. This season coming up in 2022. So, names to consider. I'm going to start in the infield. We're going to start with a couple names in the infield. Jonathan VR played for the New York Mets last year. And the key word, it's going to be a theme here, especially for these infielders and position players, versatility. Jonathan VR is going to give you versatility in the infield. He can play third base. He can play second base. He can play that whole left side of the infield. So, good bat, solid bat, gets on base. Decent, decent glove. Not great glove, but it's better than what the Phillies have right now. Jonathan VR can play third, can play second. Well, I don't know what they're going to do with Bohm. I don't know what they're going to do. I think they're going to try and bring Didi back. But VR can give you versatility. Next one. Wilmer Flores. Kind of the same deal here. Wilmer Flores was a big part of the San Francisco Giants last year and their run to get 107 wins. Flores was solid, man. It was very solid. Put up decent power numbers. Got on base. Solid fielder. Kind of the same thing with VR here. They didn't pay him a crap load of money. I think maybe he might get a little bit more money this year in a contract, but someone to consider. I think he can make the Phillies better. He make the Phillies better. Give him some depth. Next one. Jorge Soler, who had a rough first half for the Kansas City Royals, coming off some big power number years with Kansas City. I think it was 2018, 2019, where he had 48 homers and led the American League. So, not a great first half with Kansas City, but a good, very good, solid second half with Atlanta has helped them in their playoff run to the NLCS so far. Jorge Soler, I would take a chance, man. I would take a chance. McCutchen, man, he's not getting any younger. Yes, he still put up like good power numbers. Had a rough first couple of months, but McCutch isn't getting younger. He's had an injury history here the last couple of years. I would take a chance on Jorge Soler. He's 29. I would take a chance. Don't throw big money at him. Obviously, I know he had a good second half, but that's not gonna. I don't think that's gonna get him a huge contract. So Jorge Soler, someone to consider. Next, I don't know how. I at first I'm like, man, this would be a perfect fit for the Phillies. The only problem is my thing is Chris Taylor. I think he's gonna get a bigger contract. Look, he just had a huge game in the NLCS. Was an all-star this year. Would be a perfect fit for the Phillies. I just don't want to overpay for a guy that is, I think he's 31. I'll edit it in here somewhere. If I'm wrong, I will put the number on or his age on the screen. I think he's like 31, 32. Problem is, I think giving him big money at this point, it's not like he's shown that he's like a 5-time All-Star. He made the All-Star team this year. He's had a couple of good years. He's shown to be a good, versatile player for the Dodgers. He can play the outfield. He can play second base. He can play multiple positions. Which is why I'm looking at that for the Phillies. I'm like, oh, he could play center field, or he could play second base, or especially center field, because they're not gonna. We need a center fielder, obviously. Chris Taylor, I put his name on the list because I think it would definitely be a name to look at. I just don't want the Phillies to overpay him and then him not put up, the numbers he's been putting up for the Dodgers. I know you're saying like, okay, well, anything's got to be better than what the center fielders were putting up for the Phillies this year, but you don't want to overpay. You can try to find somebody else to play center field. I don't know, but Taylor, I put his name down there because I think he's definitely a name that Dombrowski and Fold should consider. And then to round out the infield there, Matt Duffy, someone else that can play, third base, second base, shortstop. I know he's had an injury history, but he's not going to be. I think he made what was it, $1 million over a year last year. For the Phils, I think to add some, to maybe add some depth. I'm not saying Matt Duffy's going to start or anything. I'm just to add some depth. I think Matt Duffy is a name to look at. So that rounds out the position players. Let's look at pitching. Jon Gray, starting pitcher for the Colorado Rockies. My whole thing with Gray, right? He hasn't put up amazing numbers, but what besides Ubaldo Jimenez and maybe a few other pitchers in Colorado, who has? You're pitching in cores half the year. You're gonna get teams are gonna score runs off you. Offenses are gonna score runs off you. Gray's numbers weren't amazing in Colorado. They were okay. He's had good years here and there. I think Gray is someone to look at to say, hey, we can add some depth to the rotation. We don't know what's going to happen with Eflin. We don't know if Nola's going to bounce back, blah, blah, blah. Maybe Gray can come into Philly and he's not pitching in cores anymore and his numbers are way better. Maybe he's going to be a better pitcher. I don't know. Jon Gray is someone to look at, though. I like the idea of Jon Gray. Fans have brought it up in the past, last couple of years, at the deadline, whatnot. Jon Gray is someone to look at. Next, Julio Teheran. Julio Teheran, also a name that Phillies fans have, kind of they've said his name in the last year or two. Look, he was hurt this year. Didn't pitch very much, I don't think at all. I'd take a chance with Julio Teheran. He's not that old. He's about 30. He's around 30, I think. My concern about what the Phillies starting pitching is his depth. These guys can add depth to the rotation. Look, they didn't have depth last year. They had Matt Moore, Vince Velasquez for a good part of the year. Who else am I thinking? Chase Anderson. You need depth. And hopefully Ranger Suarez can come in and he can be, he can do what he did last year because that was amazing. But Julio Teheran is someone that I think that he can add for depth. Okay, so those are two starting pitchers I've looked at. That I said, okay, these are guys that could make sense for the Phillies. Relief pitching. I got 3 names here for you. Raisel Iglesias. Definitely a name that's popped up over the last couple of years with Phillies fans. A name that makes sense to me. He made $9 million last year. He did, but I think I think he'd be worth the money. If you're giving me he's had a 2.61 ERA over the last 2 seasons. You're doing that, I'll give you 15 to 20 million. Let's go. And he can be a closer. He's had about 40 plus saves over the last 2 seasons. He'd be perfect for the back end of that bullpen. Even if he's a setup guy, closer, whatever. I am cool with Raisel Iglesias. I would love that. He's not extremely old. I like that. I like that a lot. Ryan Tepera. Ryan Tepera is another one. He pitched for the White Sox this year. He's pitched for the Cubs. He's at up and down years, but he, for the most part of his career, he's been a good reliever. He's someone I look at from the Phillies. at least track record wise. I know relief pitchers in Major League Baseball, they can be hit or miss sometimes, but I think if you just look at Tepera's track record, I'd take a chance on Ryan Tepera. Why not? And then Michael Lorenzen. Dual threat. He's got a couple. He can hit, he can pitch, but I think at this point in his career he's just focused on pitching, especially with the injuries that he's dealt with. So that's definitely something to look out for with Lorenzen is the injury history. But he's someone that you're probably not going to give a crap load of money to, but he's had some bright spots in the past in his career. So I wouldn't mind the Phillies taking a chance on Michael Lorenzen. Look, you're always going to be taking chances with whoever you take, guy with injury history, without injury history. Just because a guy didn't have injury history before doesn't mean that he can't start getting injured going forward. So you're just taking chances. That's what sports is. You're always taking chances, taking risks. So those are my 9 to 10 names that I feel like the Phillies could look at. I know they don't jump out on the sheet and say like, oh my God, maybe like Chris Taylor or Raisel Iglesias. Yes, those guys might jump off the paper to you. But look, I don't think it's a good idea to sign one of the shortstops, the big name shortstops or any one of these big names. They're going to be asking for a lot of money. You've already got one of the highest payrolls in Major League Baseball. At this point, you've got to look at what you've done over the past 3 or 4 years and say, all right, what is not working? Oh, this could be a factor. So I think it's time to maybe. I know Middleton's always kind of wanted to please the fans, and I think as a fan, I appreciate that. But at the same time, it's just about winning. It's about winning. Great, we have Bryce Harper here. Love Bryce Harper. Should win MVP this year, but I want to win. I want to be back in October. Watching teams play this year and not seeing the Phillies in October, I was jealous, man, and I missed that. I really missed that. So, next video, we're going to talk about a few big trades that I feel. I guess they're big trades. Yeah, I guess they're big trades that we're going to talk about next video, and we're going to do that. And then I want to talk about how the roster is going to look, how we're going to these free agent names, how they would fit into this roster, who I think the Phillies should bring back. I didn't talk about that, who they should bring back along with these free agents. We're going to put it all together next time. We're gonna do that. So let me know what you thought of the names that I had brought up here. Let me, please, I just want to talk. I just want to talk about baseball. Tell me in the comments if there's any names here you agreed with, disagreed with, any names I didn't say that you're like, wait, how could you miss this guy? Let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how the Phillies can be a better team going forward. Let's talk about it.